Episode 4. Look, you just cheesing. Who would have known? We definitely going to have a good episode. Episode 4 is like proper training. Um, we in the firearm industry. We teach as firearm instructors that we want to have our students to leave our facility. Anytime we teach a class, the proper way. Not the movie way, the Hollywood way, things in that nature. So before we get into it, we want to hit the intro. Yeah, today episode we're gonna have a special guest coming on to the show. Before we bring them on, how was your day?
My day was good. It went really fast. It was a short day.
It was a short day.
A lot of parent-teacher conferences.
Yeah, it was kind of cold too. We had snow, rain, slush. We get one day all for season here in Chicago, so nothing new.
Yeah, we just had summer last week, so yeah.
Summer last week, right? It was what 80s, 70s, and you turn around next week is
40s, 30s, snow.
Yeah, snow below zero pretty soon.
I walked outside, was like, who gotta clean this car off? It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna bring our guests on to the show, but before we do, split. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Good to
Hi,
see you
Joe.
guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, same. So could you introduce yourself to the chat so they understand who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Joe Yeager. I'm a certified instructor in the Sarasota Bradenton, which is central west or west central Florida. And I do concealed carry here in Florida. I do private lessons. I do beginners courses, and I am about to get my rifle instructor as well. So that will be available soon. And I'm just delighted to be here. I've been following you guys. You've been around for a little while, but I certainly enjoy your show. So thank you for having me.
All right, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
So yeah. So what made you want to get into, firearms, or once you became an instructor, what was the obstacle that you had to cross, or, things in that nature? Because I know it might be sort of different from here and there. Did you
It
go
is
through the
definitely
NRA?
different from here. It is definitely different. There's no question. Uh, well, I grew up in a military family. My father was in the Israeli Defense Forces. So when I was a kid, when parents would come home from the army, they would bring their firearms with them. And I was in the Boy Scouts, and from a young age, when you go out on field trips, you'd have 16, 17-year-old teenagers that are just about to go to the military also carry firearms. So it wasn't anything strange for us. And one day my father brought the firearm home, and I was 7 years old. I had a little sister, and we were in this apartment up in Tel Aviv. And my father leaned the Uzi against the wall there, and I look at it, and we love to play with guns as kids. We would make makeshift guns. My grandmother lived out in the boondocks, and we would run in the fields and the backyards and the trees and play cowboys and Indians and play soldiers, and because we all thought at some point we're going to go to the army. So anyway, I pick up this firearm. It's so heavy, and I bring it up to my shoulder, and I start to scan the room. My mother and my sisters there. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, my father snatches the rifle out of my hand. Goes, "Never touch this again, stupid." And that was it for me. That was it for me for a long time. Uh, when we get to the end of the show, and you're going to ask me some questions about things about myself, so to speak, I'll keep some of that for that. But I
Okay.
moved to the U.S. I lived in New York for until 2016. Then I moved to Florida, and I was having dinner with some friends, and they were talking about firearms. based on what she was doing for a living. She was a bankruptcy attorney. She went to some shady areas, and we started to talk about that. So my girlfriend Amy got a class. I got hooked, bought my first firearm, and I decided, okay, this is for me, man. This is it. So I took it very seriously, and big shout out to my instructor Ryan Thomas and his wife Tiffany of Tampa Carry. They are amazing. You should check them out. TampaCarry.com. They have a YouTube channel as well. And Ryan got me into instructing. And so I became an instructor, and he showed me the ropes and how to slowly build my base. And that's what I'm doing down in western Florida, in Central Florida.
Okay. One question: how was the move from New York to Florida? Like, was it sort of tough? As far as the weather. From summer to winter.
Well, I can tell you, tough, definitely not. You move from New York to Florida, it's night and day. Something I wanted to do for a long time, and I drove down. So I got divorced, and within a month and a half, I was down in Florida. I've been visiting Florida for many, many years, and even though it wasn't because of guns and because of the Second Amendment, because it's so much easier, I didn't really know that at the time when it came to how different it is from New York to Florida. But it's what I wanted to do for a long time, and I did it, and I don't look back. It's like being on vacation every day. It's wonderful down here. At least for me, it is.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, that's what. Hey, I'm telling you,
it's good to visit. I'll visit, but I told him we're not moving down there.
You hear that? That's it. The boss has spoken.
Yeah, I almost didn't come back. I was looking at her, like, is it time to go home?
Yeah, it's time to come back to Chicago to the
Yeah.
winter.
So, like, what is one of the big things that when you teach in the class, like, do you be having the I know it alls or just things in that nature? Like individuals, come in, they come to learn, but you the instructor, how do you, get them to, follow your way in a sense, like,
Well, I think that fortunately for me, I don't get a lot of know-it-alls. That there is the occasional person who is experienced that will come in, and I let them do their thing, obviously closely monitoring them. They say, yeah, I've been shooting for a while, and I just can't get on center, and I want to know why. So I just help me get on centered. So I said, go ahead, show me your safety inspection, show me your fundamentals. Go ahead, execute a few shots. Let me see what. And I'm observing. I'm taking mental notes at this point. Is the grip okay? Are they breathing? Are they loosening the left hand? Are they doing all these different things? I'm taking mental notes until they execute the shot, and I let them do it. And then I ask them, why do you think that is? How long have you had that issue that you are trying to resolve, and how come you haven't been able to resolve it? And so then they will tell you their process, and then you will be able to then take whatever it is that is missing, and one thing at a time explain to them how what they're doing is impacting their results, and here are the solutions, and here's how you can solve it.
Okay, that's one of the things that we do as well. You know, later on in the show, we're gonna show, like, an instructor doing something that he shouldn't be doing. Cahoots. I mean, that's something that I wouldn't do. I don't recommend no one else do. It was crazy. It's like life and death situation. If we say, don't point the firearm at anyone, point in a safe direction, but you have someone, running back and forth, doing a 100-yard dash. I mean, it's beyond me.
But you're good with what he said too. I noticed, like, when we're at the range, sometimes I do get a little nervous because we do here get a lot of know-it-alls in Hollywoods. So I kind of let I kind of let handle more so of how to actually, teach them how to shoot their firearm. And one thing he do is like somebody will say what you said, like, oh, I've been shooting for a long time, but my shot is not accurate. It's not right. And then he'll watch them, and then he'll tell them and guide them through it, like you're breathing or too much finger on the trigger. You're not using your front sight and all that stuff. So cool to you guys.
Yeah. Also, she had a very what last week before last, she actually taught by herself, like from start to finish.
Way to go.
I know I was so nervous because, like I say, I teach, but I teach kids. It's easy for me to talk to kids. I don't know, adults kind of was making me nervous, but I actually did a really good job, and the feedback was really good. They really like how I was teaching and doing like real life scenarios so they can better understand the laws and all that good stuff. So thank you. It was fun.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You light up as you speak about that. So obviously you're enjoying it, and it'll become second nature after a while. So go with the flow.
Yeah, most definitely. The more you do it, the more you into it. They say it take to master something, you got to do 100,000 hours. So, you like 16 hours in? So you got quite a way to go. So, we're gonna bring up a clip of something that happened, and that goes to what we was just saying. Pointing in the safe direction, things in that nature. Is some people just do the craziest things. I really don't know, but about to bring it up right now.
In West Houston, Keith Garvin joins us live with the important lesson in gun safety tonight. Keith?
Dominique, the video filmed inside this gun range has gone viral. It is textbook example of how not to handle a weapon on a gun range or anywhere for that matter.
Lesson number 1 when shooting at a gun range. Never ever point a weapon at your friend's head or anyone's head for that matter. But this surveillance video from the Top Gun range on Beverly Hill Street near Richmond and Fountain View near the Galleria shows a customer doing just that.
Very scary situation.
Take another look. The man, in an effort to take a selfie, starts off by breaking one of the cardinal rules of gun range safety. He's pointing his pistol toward the lane next to him rather than downrange. The lane next to him is filled with several people who were taking a safety class this past Friday. Then, for a second selfie, he decides to point the gun at his friend's head.
It would have been a very bad situation, not just for obviously us and the other patrons on the range, but that guy and his family.
But the range safety officer who was teaching that class in the next lane quickly steps in, forces the man to put down the weapon, and escorts both men from the range.
Everything he did was fast, prompt. He followed every rule as far as our range safety officer of getting that situation handled and under control.
Managers at the gun range have sent the video to all their employees as a training tool. They also wanted to give the public a refresher in gun range safety by releasing it on social media. Viewers have taken a few shots at the customer involved.
Yeah, so yeah, that's like one of the videos. Like from time to time, we hear the stories. Firearm instructor or accidentally deaf on the fire range. One of the things that the NRA does is range safety officer. That's a good course that you could take, you could tap into. But I mean, that's rule number 1. Like, finger off the trigger, never point at no one, safe direction. So I don't know what the guy was thinking, but it could have been a tragedy on both ends, because he could have accidentally killed his friend, or someone could have saw it and just accidentally, not even accidentally, thinking like he's going to kill this guy and shot and killed him. So it would have been like two families, heartbroken, which is really, really crazy. I mean, ban is not enough. I think he should have had some type of charge.
I agree that people are very anxious and excited when they get to the range. They just want to go in and fire. So when the safety officers, and I watch because I wait for my student outside right by the range desk, and they go through the safety briefing. And even when the range officer gives the safety briefing, they have to go through my safety briefing before we go in. But they're so excited that they completely forget what is just being told to them, which is unload the firearm in your booth. Do not handle it outside of that. Do not point anywhere else. So all the safety, it's just out their head. We just want to go in and shoot. So I think, or I recommend, highly recommend, that when you go in and when you speak to your students, whenever they go in to the range, is every single one of us is responsible for our own safety. And so
Yes.
you never assume that just because someone got a safety briefing, even if you don't have to be an instructor, you're still responsible for your own life. Just watch what's going on around you. And it doesn't mean you have to say anything to someone that you believe is making a mistake, but you can go out to the range safety officer and say, hey, you need to watch these guys. If they're not coming in and saying something, you need to watch these guys. They're just unsafe. So when you go into the range, be excited, go out, have fun, practice, do whatever it is that you need to do. But take a moment to notice what's going on around you, say in between drills. So I'll do a drill. I'll finish the drill. I'll do a safety check after every single time I finish the drill. I'll put the firearm down, collect my snap caps, whatever it is. And then I take a quick peek outside of my booth. Is everything normal? Is everything as it should be? And if it isn't, I may say something because I'm comfortable doing that. But if I'm not, or if you're not, go out to the range safety officer and just say, hey, please watch these guys. They are doing this and that. Not that you're trying to be telltale, but with firearms, there are no do-overs. This is not as if somebody threw a pencil at you. This is a bullet goes. There's no do-overs. So be responsible for your own life. Say something. You see something, say something.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, even it's not even being a telltale at that point. Not just the individual, your life, but it could be like he just said, like it was a class going on. So he could have accidentally pulled the trigger, he could have penetrated through the wall, hit the next, student or the next, occupant in the next lane, which is like firearm safety. Number one is just negated totally. So that's another thing as well. Speaking of firearm safety, we about to jump right into this other clip, and we just wanted to see like exactly what it been on the net for a while, but I don't think I will ever do this. Well, I know I would never do this. Like this one thing I have to say never, and don't have to knock on wood because like you just don't do certain things. I put it that way. You just don't do certain things. And this, like I say, this one of them I would never do. And I would literally tell everyone never to do it, So.
Get someone to shoot off. Why?
We're gonna pause it right there for a split second. I really don't know what was going on in his head to do something like this, but
What do you think about it?
Well, just FYI, I could not see the video. So yeah, I did not see the video. I heard it, but I couldn't see it. Like the first video you put on, I saw many times on the web. This time I didn't see it. But if you give me just a quick summary, by the way, my buddy Dan Bricchetto is on here. And thanks for watching, Dan. It's great to have you. This is talk about the quintessential safe and responsible gun owner. Danny's it.
Yeah.
Incredible guy.
Yeah, so pretty much in this video, the firearm instructor, I guess it's like police training. He's running from one side of the range, gun range, to the other side while they taking turns firing.
Oh, I know that
So
video. I know that video.
and
I know that video.
then
Yeah.
Dan said, "What's up?" There we go.
Now, so
So
that's the video where he's like on his toes, kind of going around as the students are going around. Yeah, I saw that video.
yeah, so I don't know, like even the students was hesitating to shoot. Like, is this guy crazy, or is I'm crazy for even shooting? Or and then one individual had a malfunction. I don't know malfunction or the mag was empty, but that individual had trouble, and then all of a sudden the individual goes right back, present the firearm and goes back to shooting. But just stopping, going back and forth, like I don't know.
Look, some people have a death wish. I have no idea. Maybe he did, but it is. I agree with you. It is not something I would do. No matter how much I trust my students, it is not something I would do.
What's your take on it, Tanya?
Same. There's no way I'm running back and forth in a line of fire at a range to train somebody how to stop firing as innocent bystander is running past. Like, I don't get it. I mean, maybe they have an explanation for it, but no, I love my life too much.
And
like he said,
there are ways you can actually simulate something similar without having to put yourself in harm's way.
Exactly, I agree. Yeah.
Here is one drill.
Way.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just say it have to be something better than putting your life. Because then, like you said, what if one of your students did accidentally shoot you? Yeah, you have on a vest, but your neck is showing, your head, legs, anything.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. No.
It's great for a YouTube video and it maybe has a reputation, but at the end of the day, this is not something that I would seek as an example for instructing. I think it's setting a bad precedent as to what is okay when it comes to education. And I don't think, let's say that there is no liability. Let's throw liability out the window. But if a student shot an instructor by mistake, and even though there was no legal liability there for whatever the waivers that they signed, that person has to live with it for the rest of their life. That's worse.
Yes, it is. Because I came to get the proper training. You're telling me this is part of the training. I did it, and then I just accidentally killed you. Yeah, it's messed up.
Yeah, that's one of the craziest, things. You on the range, you already taking the risk because you don't know these individuals, and it goes back to what Christina was saying. Like, she treats everyone that she don't know like they're a 5-year-old with a gun. Mm-hmm. So I think that's something that we should take forward. Like, treat everyone, like they're a 5-year-old with a gun until they're able to
show you otherwise.
Yeah. So, it's tough. That's one of the toughest. And prime example, before we get into the next clip, the waivers, everything. The next one, unfortunately, the instructor actually, got his life taken, and the individual was a 9-year-old girl. But even when I'm in the lane in the booth with the student, I always stand to the right. They could be left-handed, right-handed. I'm always on their right, and then not so much like I'm hugging them, but I'm close enough. If it comes back or turn, I can slap it down or push it to the left. Hopefully it don't ricochet off the wall, but I would rather take, it's ricocheting and shooting than, directly on, hitting. And that was one of the issues with, this incident with the the firearm instructor, and plus the firearm that she was shooting, I wouldn't recommend that to be her first, firearm.
Yeah, it was too big.
We even tell individuals in the class, my firearm is for me. It's something for me, the caliber, the size. You have to go to go to these stores, go to the firing range, rent different, varieties of firearms, and, go put some rounds down range before you actually go and buy it. Because if you go and buy it, you know, like, if look at me and my wife hands, like totally two different sides. So like, and I tell everyone, like, for me, I need a full size. I'm not a fan of the subcompact and the compact. That's just me. um, that's when, proper training, proper preparation comes in handy. Getting the right holster, wearing the right the gear as far as belts, wearing, loose, fitted clothing, to conceal it, because here we got to conceal it. So you got something to add on?
No.
No.
Just waiting to see this next clip.
You waiting to see the next clip?
Yep.
So we're going to bring the next clip up.
It might be surprising to some, but not to those that train people with firearms every day. One instructor says it has nothing to do with the age and everything to do with the instruction. It's an image that has stunned many. A 9-year-old being instructed to fire an Uzi at a gun range in Arizona.
All right, go ahead and give me one shot.
Her next attempt with the submachine gun would be fatal as she loses control, shooting and killing her instructor.
From seeing it on video, I could see all the mistakes that happened. Firearms have a tendency to move up and to the left. This area here is the most unsafe area for an instructor to stand.
Eric Grabowski, a manager at the shooter shop, says a few simple steps would have prevented this deadly accident.
The instructor should have stood to the back and to the right. He should have had some type of control on that firearm. I would have also instructed short, controlled bursts. My hand would have been up here.
A little hesitant even after getting instruction,
Go ahead and put your finger on the trigger.
Grabowski walked me through firing an Uzi similar to the one used by the child.
Ready?
Meanwhile, Grabowski's heart goes out to both the child and the instructor's family.
It's your job as an instructor to make sure that that area is safe. And you take your own safety out of the equation. It has nothing to do with a 9-year-old with a submachine gun.
I don't know if you was able to see it, Joe. Was you able to see?
I wasn't, but I know the video.
Oh, yeah. So I remember hearing it, the story on the news. Also, I think it was on Google a few years ago as well. We hear those stories, and the video, previous to that, prior to this one, was, you had the instructor actually run in front of the line of fire. This one was standing, you to say in a safe manner, but not safe enough. Plus the type of firearm, like he said, is not so much of, a 9-year-old shooting that type of, round or that type of firearm, but opposed to also, you got to think about your safety first, because if you're not safe, they're not safe. So that's the rule number one. So what's your input about it?
I don't know what the instructor showed the child prior to actually firing live ammo. So when I go in to instruct, especially when you're talking about new students or children, we go through the safety protocol, we go through the fundamentals, but I also have them do a dry fire drill at the range. So I want them to be able to execute a shot and focus on how that feels at that moment. And so if everything they execute, it doesn't matter whether it's a rifle or if it's a pistol, if they're not executing the shot properly, then all they have to do is execute the shot with live ammo. That means all the fundamentals are in place. The grip is good, the breathing is good, the stance is good, the distance is good, where I'm standing is good. And then all they have to do is execute it exactly the same way as they did in dry fire. And I tell them the only difference is going to be is you're going to have a bang versus no bang. That's it. Everything else is the same. Don't do anything different. And so you prevent, if they have an idea of what actually to do, and children are great with that, they duplicate that so quickly, they grasp it so quickly. And if you do that with them, they will execute it properly. So the instruction has everything to do with it. And so I think that having live ammo and just having them shoot it without potentially doing dry fire, if the fundamentals were there, this would not have happened. So there was a big missing link in between. And I can only guess, because again, I've only seen a video, right? We don't know what happened before, or if there were previous lessons as well. But if things are not tight in dry fire, don't have them shoot live ammo yet.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things that that I tell everyone, especially first time shooters, that first we want the bang to be a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that I hate is when the student is up there and they present the firearm down range and they take one hand off and it goes up and it kicks up. I'm like, whoa. Like we had one student, is it like he was going to drop the firearm? I'm like, whoa, wait. Calm down, relax, breathe, you know. And I told him, like, he was like, it surprised me like you said, but it was dead on the X. First time ever shooting, first time, you know,
with a
with a firearm in general, and he outshot it everyone in the class that been shooting, 5-6 years. So that was a big ups. But as he got to the second and third, magazine, he started getting comfortable with it. He was more relaxed. And also that was a firearm that he got from, I think a friend. A friend. So it was more like he never shot. I mean, it's your first time, but it's good that he did bring the one that was given to him as a gift, opposed to, using one of ours or going, to another friend and, just let me lean your gun to go, qualify for the, do my CCL, things in that nature. So it was pretty much the same.
Yeah. So what you were saying about making sure that, like you say, we don't know what type of training the young girl was given. We don't know like what her instructor went through. We don't know any of that. So my heart goes out to both families. But we also take our sons to the range, and like they say, it don't matter like what caliber of the gun or anything like that. But if you teach the kids, like safeties and protocols, and take them, shooting more, they get used to it. And then another thing with me is like, yes, my 14-year-old will let him, shoot an AR and all that type of stuff. My 8-year-old, no, we're gonna stick to a little 22 or some that you can grab, some that you can shoot, yeah. So it's that video was just heartbreaking.
It is. It is, and the one thing that I love about what you're doing, and Dan also put it and I know Dan takes his kids to the range, and they shoot all types of calibers. He takes them to competitions, little competitions that the range holds for the kids, and they go through obstacle courses, and it's awesome to watch them because you can see how properly they were trained, and that builds confidence, right? So if you try. Kids don't care if they shoot at 22 or they just want to have fun. They don't want to be intimidated, and they will gain the confidence fairly quickly if you guide them well. Even as adults, if you think about it, we carry a firearm. Think about the responsibility that we have in carrying a firearm. It doesn't matter whether you're in Illinois, in California, in Florida. If you're legally carrying a firearm on your person and you have to use it, that's not something that's going to happen by training a few weeks or by starting to shoot with a 9mm. Even if you started with that and it takes years to get to the point maybe not years, but depending on how much you train. For most people to get the ability to be so precise under that level of stress, which most of us have not experienced and hopefully never will, takes a very long time. And so to expose someone prematurely to firearms just because they can be fun, or you want them to experiment with that, I would rethink that. If you're an instructor, crawl, walk,
Yeah.
run. Crawl, walk, run.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why you always ask, like, you know, like, what is the purpose of you getting your concealed to carry license? What is your purpose of taking this training? If you think this is like some Hollywood type stuff, oh, just to seem cool or tough, you're taking it for the wrong reasons, and you're one of the reasons why it's like so, dangerous and hard for concealed to carry people that are actually doing it the right way. Like, you have to be willing and wanting to know like everything it comes with. Like you say, you carrying it on your person. But if you ever in a situation, are you really, trained and capable of like, protecting yourself, protecting your loved ones? Are you really, going to use that firearm the proper way? Are you ready for like the consequences after it and all that stuff? So it's a lot to think about. It's not fun like Hollywood. It's not to be cool. It's not just because I want one.
It's the last thing you want to do. You have it for when everything else fails. But
Yep.
all the steps that go between, whether it's situational awareness, all the way up to having to use a firearm at all costs. It doesn't matter if your ego is hurt, if you just get away from the possibility as much as possible. It truly does have to be
The
imminent.
last resort.
Absolute last resort. It's got to be imminent, and you better freaking know what you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's one of the other things. I know here, like most states even have, a warning shot. Like, why is you shooting a warning shot? If it go bang, I mean, what is that proving? It is still ricochet off, hard surface. Um, you to penetrate something, things in that nature. That's just me. I'm glad that we don't have that here. But I look, and some, like I say, some states have that. Like some states have stand your own ground. We really don't have it here in Illinois, but it's sort of like, okay, if you're in this situation, it needs to be, you got to match force for force. So if, Lord forbid, if they shooting and you get yourself in a shootout, I mean, you lawfully can use, far as, deadly force to match their force. But as a concealed carry and a holder, like they say, we not out here. We don't want to take a life. We cherish life. That's the last thing we want to do. But also, you trying to get home to your loved ones, your family as well, and it's just crazy at times. When people goes through these, different scenarios and different um, events, and I know here, and you was at the range and you was, reloading and things in that nature inside the lane, and I was like, you know what? I don't do that. I do a dry firing, but I don't do a, live fire. So it's more like I need to step my game up, as far as that. Um, and you got something to add on before we get to the next clip?
No. I just wish we had a lot more stuff like other states, like being able to draw
Most
from
definitely.
holsters, moving around in the range, dropping clip, just like going over different scenarios. We don't have any of that here. So we do a lot of, dry firing practice, like because we don't have it. But we still
Most
train.
ranges, most indoor ranges here will not let you draw from the holster. And as far as the drills that I do at the range, it's because they know me. Dan, when I go practicing with Dan, which hasn't been a while, and I know Dan's been on my back on that, but at the range that we go to practice with him, they allow us to draw from the holster. They have our name there. We took a lot of classes there, so they know us well, and so they let us do it. But the outdoor ranges more so. We don't have warning shots in Florida. We do have stand your ground. But what you find a lot of times is people misinterpret stand your ground left and right. So
Yeah,
those
most
court
definitely.
cases, a lot of them, they claim stand your ground, they claim self-defense, and a lot of them lose that because they just completely misinterpret that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that a lot of people misinterpret. And this is like sort of the borderline for us here. I'm about to just get it right into the clip, but this is like really borderline of like stand your ground, and it's one of those incidents like, did they really have to use deadly force opposed to, but we hear, we in hindsight, so we actually see after, everything that happened after, so they was in the moment, and that's one of the things like deviating. How can I say that? Like deviate from, I would have did this, I could have did that, or I would have did this,
Shoulda, coulda, did that.
shoulda,
Yeah.
coulda, woulda moments. So I'm gonna play the clip, and then we just get our inputs and
Valid self-defense. Lou joins us from the newsroom with that story. Lou?
Julie and Randy, this happened in February on a cold 6-degree night in South Minneapolis, in a neighborhood that's seen an increase in armed robberies. And the whole thing was caught on tape. Now, we warn you, some may find the content disturbing. After checking the locked gate, surveillance video outside the South Minneapolis home shows Martin Lee Johnson hopping the fence. A motion light turns on as Johnson approaches the home. According to police reports, the homeowner, a 53-year-old woman, heard Johnson wiggle the door handle and his steps on the deck. So she told her 26-year-old son, who lives with her, and grabbed her handgun as Johnson entered the family's detached garage. The homeowner opened the sliding door and fired warning shots in the air. On the surveillance video, you can hear the homeowner's son's voice as he joins her in yelling at the intruder. But instead of hopping back over the fence, Johnson walks toward them. And after 2 more warning shots, the fatal shot is fired by the son, who was standing next to his mother inside the open door, also holding a gun.
My clients were acting completely in self-defense.
Joe Tamburino is representing the mother and son, he says, at no charge.
They gave warning shots. They said go away, and he continued to approach their home. It was clear cut.
The Hennepin County Attorney's Office declined charges in the case, calling it valid self-defense. Despite protests from Johnson's family and friends, the armed homeowners told police taking a life is the last thing they wanted to happen.
Regardless of the circumstances, you have someone's life ending. I mean, these people are human beings. They're wonderful people. And knowing that someone's life ended is something that's very heavy to deal with. So, yeah, it's difficult.
And I reached out to Martin Lee Johnson's family and did not hear back, but in the past they've said that he should be alive today and was likely trying to find shelter rather than to do harm. Julie.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, but how was they supposed to know that too?
Yeah, but that goes to, we, like I say, we in hindsight, we really don't know. I mean, it's late night, individual jumping, hopping in your gate, you home, your son upstairs or somewhere in the home, and you really don't know what's going on. So to me, I probably wouldn't have fired, a warning shot, let alone up in the air, because what goes up, it has to come down somewhere. Either it's the next block over, or, it to be a bystander. I mean, someone walking past. So that's why I'm not a fan of the warning shots. I don't know if that's their way saying shoot it in the air opposed to the surface, but that's just my thoughts. What you think about it?
Yeah, I don't think I like warning shots either, because unless you like aiming directly at the ground and it's going in the dirt or the ground. But yeah, it could have went anywhere, and we see that a lot in Chicago. People outside shooting, and then the bullets come through people's homes and killing kids and people that had nothing to do with it. So yeah, I don't care for the warning shot.
What's your input, Joe? Like,
Well, I'll speak on this if that incident happened in Florida. So aside from the snow, which we're not going to have here, at least not hopefully ever.
Lucky you.
But I can tell you that someone on your premises, you stay at home. There is absolutely no justification. To me, it didn't look like the guy had any weapon whatsoever in his hand. And when he was shot at, they should not have come out of their home. That's number one. They are safe at home. Call the police, let them know something is going on, let them come and do it. Secondly, he was so far away with no weapon in his hand, he wasn't charging them or running towards them. So when it comes to self-defense, all 50 states go by 5 specific conditions that have to be. And one of them is imminence, meaning was that threat imminent at any second? When I'm looking at that picture, if I was that lady or that son, and again, I'm only speaking from Florida law and from what I teach and from what I learned, is he's not an imminent threat to me because I can close the door. If he wanted to break the door, he would have done it already. He went into a detached garage where there is no one there. He's not posing any harm at that moment, and he didn't have to force his way in, so the garage was probably unlocked. And if the door to the home was unlocked, closed, shut, but unlocked, and he walks in, that's different. Now you're talking about castle doctrine, which we have in Florida, and stand your ground, where we don't have a duty to retreat when somebody is inside our home or in an occupied vehicle. So the attorney is convinced, he has to be, for his clients, that they acted in self-defense. In the state of Florida, that would not be self-defense. And in most cases, it wouldn't because it wasn't a reasonable response. Reasonableness is one of those conditions. Imminence,
True.
There was no imminence. There was no, that the force used was completely disproportionate. So proportionality is another one. And so you're talking about, or in, at least from my view and in the state of Florida, those 3 conditions, you only need one condition to be off to lose your defense of self-defense or your claim of self-defense. I see 3 already, and the other 2 would probably be the same. So in my opinion, this was not a justifiable act, and we don't have warning shots in Florida. So
Yeah. That's why I was saying, like, it's clearly wasn't, a self-defense situation. Like,
That wasn't force with force.
no.
That was
no,
yeah.
no, it was
And
completely
then like with me,
disproportionate.
just looking at the video, like you say, the door was closed. You guys were safe in the house. If you guys saw this guy, rambling around in the backyard, just, call the police. Hey, I'm at home. I see somebody in my backyard. Wondering if you come over. They're trying to break in, whatever, and let them handle it. It's, yeah.
I mean,
And you can shout commands, right?
Yeah.
So from inside your home, if they're in the backyard, you shout command. You don't flash your firearm. You don't need to show them, but you can say to them, if they are approaching the house or trying to come into the house, say, leave. We call the police. We are armed. If you come in, we will shoot you. That you can do. You are shouting commands. You're not using lethal force. You are just letting them know once you cross that threshold, castle doctrine, stand your ground is there, and you're going to get shot. So do yourself a favor and just leave. It's not going to end well if you continue. And hopefully they do. And if they try it, now, if they walk away and they go into the garage, you stay at home. You don't open the door and you don't shoot. He's not harming. He's not danger to you at that moment. So there's no need for any of that lethal force or threatening to use lethal force. It just was not justifiable, at least as far as Florida is concerned.
Well, I like what Dan says. He said, shut the door and call the police. Then wait for them to enter illegal, and then have the right to defend yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's one of those, like, we get that a lot in the classes. One incident that they always bring up, scenario, I wouldn't even say incident, is, all right, if someone's at my door, could I shoot them then drag the body in? No.
We hear
you
that.
gotta
We hear that too. I mean, that is talk about seriously. I made too many movies, man.
Yeah.
That's too many
yeah,
movies.
that's like the big one, that we get a lot. And some students, like, believe it or not, like, they really, really get upset because we tell them no. And it's like, if we say yeah, it's like, well, my instructor said I have to do this. Like, and then they was like, okay, and we certified this guy to to teach firearm safety. So, and then when we go over, the federal and state laws, individuals, it opened, everything is like, oh, I thought to do this, I thought to do that. Like, no, you still, you gotta understand, once you start carrying in the state, the government, they look at you as a law-abiding citizen for one, but your actions is not what they expect from you, is not from the average citizen that's just walking, doing their 9 to 5, day to day in, day out, things. They putting, something that's, you know,
Putting
is
you on a
the
pedestal.
yeah, it's like destruction, like nothing good comes from, drawing your firearm, and, well, at least I haven't seen anything good besides, competition shooting. But presenting it on another human being, nothing good comes from that. So, um, like I say, I'd be hesitant to even sign off on certain, and then, towards the end of the class, they be like, well, I get it, I understand. And I always tell them, like, they have a family just like you have a family, so they got to go home to their family like you want to get home. So when people as a whole start realizing that, um, I they're get it together. It's like some things
Just
is, yeah.
follow the laws is what. Just follow the laws. Be
And
responsible.
proper training is that.
Training. Yep.
Proper
Yep.
training
Yep.
is not just firearm skills.
Nope.
No.
Okay, if you
And
want to be well trained, a well trained gun owner knows everything that happens before you ever reach for that weapon far better than actually reaching for that weapon.
Yep.
Because when you
Yeah.
take that out, there is no coming back. Even if you don't shoot, right? Certain states, like the state of Florida, the stat you speak about, using deadly force or threatening to use deadly force come in the same sentence, which means once
Yeah.
you show that firearm, you only show it if you actually have the legal right to use it. Even if you don't use it, just showing it is as if you are about to use it, because that's how the court is going to look at it, even if you didn't pull the trigger. So make part of your training should be, yes, you go to the range, you dry fire, you do all those things, you muscle memory, you focus on feel. And I tell my students, muscle memory and feel are your best friends. So when you train, you always got to think, one is you're under attack. If self-defense is your objective, you're always under attack. That doesn't mean you have to do things fast. But if you're at 3 o'clock in the morning, you hear the window break, you got cobwebs in your mouth, in your eyes, you just woke up from a bad dream or from a dream, you have no idea what's going on. You reach for your firearm and you just hear this weird, it's pitch dark. How you train is how you will move. Your body will move based on how you trained it to move. And you will not have your sight and your hearing when you're feeling out for your firearm. You got to feel for it. So muscle memory and feel are the things to focus on. That's your firearm skills. And then be able to identify the threat and then do everything right, even within your own home, to be able to protect yourself and your family from that threat. But if you don't know what the rules are in your particular state, what applies, what doesn't, knowing the target, what's beyond it, did you identify the target? Is it your drunken son or daughter coming back from a party that coming through the window, or maybe somebody just walked into the wrong house and you shoot them? Spend as much time studying your state laws and how they apply before you go ahead and just focus on fire, 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 fire. It's got to be equal, because they both apply at the moment of application.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's one of the things here. A lot of people, they claim they know the law but really don't know the law, or they get misinformed, oh, well, it was like that back in the day. No, I mean, a lot of people got away with certain things, but technology and, ballistics, especially when they take the course and we start getting into, the rifling, the grooves and everything, then they start realizing, like, how do people get away with certain things? And we tell them, like, just lack of evidence, or, they I mean, it's pretty much lack of evidence, and God just on their side for the moment. But like they say, what goes around comes around. If people believe that, karma is real. So like they always saying, what they say, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So it's one of those, like, it's gonna catch up to you. Not today, not tomorrow. It might be when you get your life on the right track and you trying to change for the better. That's when it hits, and
Mhm.
a lot of people just don't understand, like, some people just can't run away from their past. It's there to hunt them. So if you do right, you should be fine.
Carrying a
So
firearm should actually make you, if you're safe and responsible, if you learn the right way, it should make you calmer. It should make you more aware. It should make you kinder. It should make you much, much more conscientious of every move you make, because just by having a firearm alone, you're already at a disadvantage from a legal standpoint. You will be far more scrutinized, because even if you did everything right, you will be far more scrutinized than
yeah,
someone
and
who didn't. And that's if people get to understand that, it can change a lot of the sentiment, because you won't have so many people looked at as crazies and nuts and intimidating, because they're all about guns and all these quotes and these keyboard cowboys, that I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6 and all that. This, if you ever get caught in an incident, everything on social media that you ever wrote, ever said, ever filmed is going to be brought up. They're going to dig
most
through
definitely,
everything. And if you come
yeah,
across as a cowboy, you only made your case harder.
Yep.
yeah, totally agree. I mean, it's we seeing it time and time again. Like, a lot of shootings could be prevented. Even here, um, was that Highland Park? Back when was that? July?
Yeah. Yeah. That was what, a couple of weeks
Yeah,
ago?
few months ago. But the individual was on, like, Facebook, status post out the post talking about it. So it was like red flags. Um, I don't know how they didn't, catch heave to it, or did anyone
Mhm.
did they just overlook it, like, oh, okay, or was they, having a close eye on it and it just slipped up and it happened too soon that they couldn't react. But a lot of individuals lost their lives in that shooting as well. And I tell everyone, in the class when they taking it, like, do you plan on, carrying, one in the chamber, or you keep planning on carrying code? And you get 50-50 toss up. So I show them, like, a video of, like, different scenarios, like, okay, well, the guy, first thing, someone who said they want to carry on code is like, well, the guy he was able to draw and rack one in the chamber, but his situation is different from your situation to the next person's situation. So, and then also we show another one that, the individual, you know it ain't work in his favor. So, like, I tell everyone, like, get comfortable of, carrying. Um, a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm really nervous. I don't want to carry," and I always tell them, like, this is your safety. So the firearm is not going to go bang unless something is pressing, compressing the trigger. And we get that a lot. So it's just crazy. And then I get another one, I get is like, oh, well, I'm just buying a firearm with a safety. Well, safety, they also, they fail. So you putting your livelihood, you trust a device on the firearm that opposed to your finger and your actions, which is kind of bizarre. And I understand that it's they never carry. It's a new new chapter in their life. But I tell everyone in the class, hey, they go a prop gun, put the holster on, put it on, get familiar with it. If you want to carry 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, things in that nature. And some of them do, some don't. You have the ones like, oh, this how I'm gonna carry because I want to carry that way. So once they start, they understand why I say to carry a certain way. Yeah, son.
No.
So this the part of the show that we will have, our guests to say 3 facts about them. Whether dealing
with firearms, dealing
firearms,
with
personal life, there's someone that will look at you first take and won't never guess.
Well, I've lived on, let's see, I think it's 4 continents. So I was born in Israel. I went to high school in South Africa. I lived in Brussels, Belgium. And then I came to the US in 87. So I was about 20 years old when I came to the US. And lived in Florida now for since 6 years, 6.5 years. And very happy. So, and I'm sure Atlanta will be a hell of a lot better if you move there. You'll enjoy it a lot more, especially weather-wise. Another one is let's see, what else? I speak 3.5 languages. So from traveling around, you learn some languages, you see the world. That's a lot of fun. And I also have. Other than being a firearm instructor, which I've been doing for a lot less time than actually being in wealth management. So that's really where I've been doing that for almost 30 years. And then when I got into firearms, I was saying, you know what, I'm going to turn this hobby into a business. And I've been having a blast. I really am enjoying that, the whole journey.
Oh wow, South Africa, that's cool.
Yeah. That was a long time ago. Long time ago.
Yeah,
talking
most
about early
definitely.
80s.
Yeah, was we even born? I think.
I don't think you even.
Don't do Joe. You gonna put his age on back?
Hey, yeah, he actually
okay.
just told his age.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind.
Yeah, but that just goes to show you, like, you just been all over, like hot, cold, back to warm.
Yeah.
So it's pretty dope. Well, we only been here cold. We get all the seasons.
I cannot imagine the cold you guys deal with in the winter. There's no way, man. It's like New York was already way too cold for me. So Chicago, no way, man. A beautiful city, but I will only go there in the summer or in once it gets below 50, I get very antsy.
Was that Dan said that?
Yeah, so you see what Dan
number
said?
4, Dan said, yeah. He is. Dan is not only cool, he's super cool. Dan is he really is. He's a prime example. When if you knew Dan, you would say, you know what, that guy is what all safe and responsible firearm ownership is all about. That's Dan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. Dan been commenting. We might have to get him up on our next episode soon.
That would be awesome, man. He's an interesting guy.
Yeah, so I know you on Instagram and Facebook. Is you planning on doing a YouTube channel, or do you have one in the making?
I am right now what I'm doing is a lot of the material that eventually I will sharpen up a little bit and polish up a little bit, and then start, whether it's YouTube or Rumble. We don't know where YouTube is going with the whole Second Amendment and so on and so forth. But most of my material, as you can see on Facebook and Instagram, I'm also on LinkedIn and I'm also on Twitter. So people can follow me there. But a lot of what I do is really more educational in nature. Yes, I do some drills, and I will incorporate that as well in terms of little things that people can learn. But if you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, I post every day, whether it's a video about something that you can learn in terms of the legal aspect of it, the proper way to do it, or certain ideas or recommendations as to how to deal with certain situations, talking about incidents, breaking them down, and they're pretty short. So if you tune in, you're going to learn something new every day, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. If you do, check it out. Welcome and thank you.
Yeah, most definitely. And we thank you for coming on the show, taking the time.
Thank you for having me. It's been a
Most
privilege and
definitely.
a pleasure.
I want to do one with like it might be kind of weird, but have everyone that we do like episode 10 or 15, something like
have everybody join.
Yeah, everyone join that we have on to the show. That's bounce
That'll
out
be an
ideas
awesome
off each other.
conversation. Yeah, it'll be a great forum.
Yeah. Because it's different states, so it's different laws, so we'll learn a lot.
Yeah, most definitely. It'd be definitely that's a good one.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, that's one thing that I like so much about your podcast is you bringing people from different states and with different backgrounds, different challenges. Like Christine, when I watched her and we were talking about being an instructor for women and the challenges that she comes across. These are wonderful. It's great little insights that we're all in our own little world and our own little cocoon, so we don't necessarily think of that. But I have a lot of students that are women, and listening to someone like Christine, for example, is, oh wow, that's a great idea, or I didn't think about that, and so that's very enlightening. So I think that would be a great idea to have everybody on.
Yeah, most definitely. It'd be a really good episode. Hey, Dan, that's you, Joe. Yeah, so most definitely. And once again, we like to thank you. But that's a good idea. Have everyone come on like that. It just don't light bulb just hit. Good episode.
You guys are doing a great job, man. I will keep following you, and I appreciate this opportunity. I've enjoyed this evening very much. Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
thank you. I did too. I was a little nervous, but I feel good.
Please, no need to be.
Yeah.